Hello guys and welcome to part 11 of creating an animated ninja in Blender. In this part we're going to set up a scene that very basic scene actually, maybe a little bit more because we're going to add a interactive part that's going to act like mud and displace when the character's on top of it. But anyway, let's get started. Let's go on a new layer here to start the scene and just bring in a plane, and we're going to scale it up by, let's say, 10 should be fine. Let's go in the top view. I'm hitting 7 on my numpad to do that, and in edit mode I'm going to hit W and say subdivide, and I think once will be fine for what we're doing, and then we just add a subdivision surface and bump it up to 2. Okay, so we have something like that, and then we can take all these corners like this and just hit scale and just make kind of a circular shape, something like that. Okay, so before we go any further, let's go back to our previous layer. Sorry, these two layers here. And I want to bring the character a bit down, so let's bring in a cube. Change the snapping here to increments, and then I'm going to press G, Z and hold Control to snap it up and bring it to the plane. So I know with Blender units this cube is 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. So this ninja is supposed to be like quite small and baby style. So we're just going to take this root controller here and scale him down. So if that's 2 meters, we want him maybe just above a meter, so maybe something like that. And yeah, then we can get rid of this cube here, and that should be fine. Now we can come back and our terrain is a little bit bigger. So my idea for this is kind of yin-yang style weird thing. It's going to be a sand pit, and we're going to have a stone on the top and on the bottom here, and then just with basic texture paint and a texture that we're going to get from online, we'll make it look kind of yin-yang with the stones here. And yeah, then we're going to have a second character and we'll do an animation with them on this. Okay, so without further ado, let's carry on here. So next I just want to bring in the stones, or what would be stones. So just bring in a UV sphere, and I'm just going to go in local view with a / key and just do what I usually do, and go and remove every second edge here from the top and the bottom. So maybe we can just go in wireframe mode and control right click and select them like this, and that way we're sure to grab all both sides so that we don't have to do it twice. Okay, and then we can hit X and dissolve edges. Okay, so now we've got something like that, and yeah, I guess I should have reduced the geometry on this thing before bringing it in, so I'm just gonna do this manually quickly. I'm sorry about that. Just go from the front view and do this. And then we can go from the right view, back view, and I'm just Shift Alt selecting, and okay, it looks like we've got everything. Why not? Okay, so X dissolve edges, and we have something more like that. Okay, so here we've got triangles again, so let's just do this quickly. X dissolve edges, and there we go. Okay, so now that we've got our stone here, we can just GZ to move it up, and they're going to be in the center, so like one here, and let's try and place it on the floor. So I'm just going to take it up quickly, and then I'm going to take these vertices here like that, and I'm going to scale Z0, and maybe if I take all of these, and hit GG, take that up, scale Z0, just so we have a kind of flat surface, and then we can change this to face here, press GZ and hold Control, and now it will be flat on this surface here. Okay, and that's quite a good size. I want quite a biggish rock, maybe not that big, so let's go into edit mode here, and just select this bottom loop here, Control S, cursor to selected. Okay, and then in object mode we can press Control Alt Shift and C, and then say origin to 3D cursor. Okay, and now when we scale it down, it would scale down like that, so just a bit bigger than the character, that would be fine. And now finally we can mirror this object on the Y axis, sorry, and across this, and there we go. And we can apply this so that it's going to be like that. Actually, let's keep the mirror so it can be like that for now, and just call this rocks. Okay, so now that we have the rocks where they're more or less going to be, I want to put the 3D cursor back to the center, and change this pivot point to the 3D cursor so I can rotate okay, so let's get rid of that and put this something like that, and then add a mirror after clearing rotation and scale. What happened here? That's the mirror. Okay, so never mind, we won't work with the mirror right now. Just I want it in an angle like this so I can duplicate it and put it maybe like here. Okay. Something like that. And then I can delete this one, and I want to create a part here that we're going to cut out. So we go into edit mode, Control R, and just add a loop here, something like that, and bring this forward, and then both of them, or let's take all of them back up here and just straighten it out again. Okay, so now we add a second one somewhere here, should be fine, and then we can take these two and bring them sorry, these two, and bring them closer, and scale x0. Sorry, never mind. So we just do that and bring this one in line, something like that. And we're gonna add another one somewhere here, should be fine. Great, okay, so we can keep that like that. We can just reshape our circular shape. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Okay, anyway, so we have that. And now we can go into face select mode here and just key and separate by selection. That gives us this piece, and if we look in wireframe, they kind of really match. So it's a kind of seamless part, but if I move this around, it's a cutout. Okay, so on this part I want to call this mud, and this I'll call it sand pit or whatever. I don't know what it's going to be called. Then with this part, we want to subdivide it. So I'm gonna hit subdivide and come here and let's try 5. Yeah, I think 5 would be fine. And now when we look at it, you'll see the shape is not completely good. So we're gonna go into vertex mode. Make sure you're from the top orthographic view, and then we're gonna hit O for proportional editing, or just enable it down here. And okay, so our 3D, it's still going from the 3D cursor, so bring it back to medium point. And now we can kind of just shape this. It doesn't need to be perfect at all, just giving it a rough shape. Just something like that. You can try and smooth it out or keep it smooth, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, we've got this piece now. Next thing we want to do is add a solidify modifier and put it before the subdivision surface and bring it up quite a bit, something like that. Okay, and then from the top view we want to scale this. Okay, just let's first take its origin to its center, so Control Alt Shift C, origin to geometry, and then we scale it along the x-axis and we scale it along the y-axis, something like that. And now if we deselect it, it still has a kind of seamless fit with the rest. Okay, so what this is going to be, it's going to become, we're going to add a dynamic paint, and actually I'm going to add this to show you guys what it does. And I'll just use a UV sphere for now. Let's just take it here, up here, maybe around here where the character is. Okay, then I'm going to put keyframe there, and I'm going to go to the physics tab, and here we have dynamic paint. So to this I'm going to add a canvas, and I'm going to add displace here. So I'm just showing you guys what's going to happen. This is not how we're going to do it, and we won't do it right now. It would be best to do it after the character animation is done. So we have that. Then we need to take the ball here. I'm just going to smooth it quickly, and we're also going to add dynamic paint, but we're going to make this a brush. Just going to give it pure white here, and yeah, so now if I press Alt A just to go a bit further down my timeline, okay, then I bring this ball kind of here, okay, bring it down so it goes like in there, press I, and then Alt A, play it a little bit, and Alt A again to stop the timeline, bring this across here and press I again, and that should do the trick. So now Control Shift down takes me back to the beginning of my timeline, and if I press Alt A to play this, we'll see the ball going in, and yeah, there you can see what happens. And if I go and smooth this out, you'll see what it does. And it's really nice actually, because when we go into the modifier, no, into the physics tab here, we have a displace factor where we can choose what happens here. We're going to cache this out and you add substeps so it looks cleaner and smoother. So anyway, let's go down again. I'm going to delete this ball, which will delete the keyframes. I'm going to remove the dynamic paint from that, and that's it. Okay, so let's set up our second stone now. Let's just bring it somewhere like here. No, I'm lying. We're gonna work on this stone quickly now. Let's add let's just add a multi-resolution, why not, and give it normal subdivision and say subdivide, and then it's isolated with the / key again, and let's go into sculpt mode. We're not really going to do some crazy sculpting here, it's just basic stuff. So we're going to start with the grab, bring the strength down with Shift F, something like that. And I'm just going to have a sip of water quickly. Yeah, so now we can look at this just from the side here and remove the X mirror symmetry, and let's just kind of shape this into some kind of rock feature. Okay, so we don't need to go crazy. Like I said, you can go more out if you want, and yeah, then I don't know if we even want to go and crease some areas here. So yeah, I'm just pushing in some parts with the crease brush to define kind of some sharp edges, and we can control and do it on the edge to make it even sharper. Something like that. We've got a sharp edge up there. So yeah, here we've got a weird looking rock shape. Let's bump it up one more time, subdivide, and maybe try the flatten. Just on certain areas. So yeah, once this is done, we can go back into object mode with our brush, with our object, and now we can add a displace modifier here, if I can find it. Displace, here it is. Okay, so then immediately, sorry, just bring the strength down to like 0.3 or something, and then add a new texture here and hit this button so we go into the texture that we can select, and we're going to use clouds here. And in the settings, I want to change it to hard. and I want to bring the size up something like that, and then we can go back to the modifier, bring the strength down to like 0.1 maybe, or 0.2, and yeah, so it's going to be on 2 levels here, so we want to bring it down to 1.1, and let's maybe edit it a bit more. Yeah, it's a weird looking rock, isn't it? Anyway, so that's going to be our rock, and now we can simply just duplicate it, put it somewhere here, Control J, the same object now, Control Alt Shift C just to put origin to geometry, and yeah, so now we've got our rocks done, our sand pit is ready just about. We can just do a similar thing here with the displace modifier. So yeah, it does that. What we can do is create a vertex group. So yeah, just create a vertex group, assign, we'll just keep it named group. I don't know if it's going to change much here. So now we're going to bring the mid-level up to 1. And then we can add a new texture here, 0.5, 0 now. And then we go into the texture and we'll do the same thing here. Maybe we can try a noise instead. Okay, we're having some really weird effect here. So strength 0.1, and I think we'll do the 1 subdivision here and then add another subdivision underneath this and put 2 on top of that, and now we can go 0.3 and play better with this texture here. Okay, so this is really annoying. Okay, you know what? Let's forget about either of these. And yeah, in the next tutorial, we will do the texturing of the stones and the sand and the mud. And I will as well I will as well offline be painting the second character. So basically I'm just going to duplicate this guy, which we'll do together. So I'm just going to paint him another texture so that it seems like a different dude. And yeah, once we've textured the terrain, we'll place them where they're going to be in the starting positions, and finally set up our first camera, and then move on to animating the scene. So yeah, I'll see you guys in part 12.